Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life. All right, that's our friends from Core Discord, David Immendorf, bringing us in. Jack, what's the name of that song?
It's Deceiver by Core Discord. It's from that original album, the one that we got the shirts from that one time at one of the Christmas. Yeah, it's from that first album, yeah.
So thanks a lot, David. Hopefully you're now listening. If you want to hear Core Discord, he's got a couple of tunes, too, out there. We're going to try to play as many as we can to lead us in. This is episode 18 of It All Boils Down to This. I'm your host, Jim Boyle. Along with me, I have Jack Boyle. Jack, real quick, let's just start off real quick. Army-Navy.
Obviously, like the way to watch that football game was to skip the first three quarters and tune in the fourth quarter, and you were in for a treat if you did that. It was a great end to that game. A lot of stuff happening. It was a fun watch. But yeah, what you should do with Army-Navy, watch the pregame the hour before the game, and then watch the fourth quarter. But I don't even know what even that game was boring as hell for the first three quarters, and then the fourth quarter really both teams started scoring, I guess.
They decided there was this. It was a typical Army-Navy game where, except for the atypical part about the last 10 years, they ran the ball all the time. This time they were starting to throw the football. When Navy started to throw the football, they started to chunk yards in, and they got down to like I said, down to the 1-inch yard line. And I thought the quarterback sneak was probably not the smartest thing because they got his head taken off. But the pageantry of it all is great. I think Foxborough showed off well. I had Army as my lock, and if they had scored that touchdown, I would have lost my lock, so I'll take that. But again, just you're right. Watching the first hour, all the guys marching in both sides, and I like the end where they do the national anthems. They do the alma maters of both teams. It's tough to be the team that loses, and like the guy said on TV there that Brad Nessler said, it's good to be last with that.
Well, yeah, because the winning team goes last, so I guess. No. The problem with the play at the goal line there was not at the inch-yard line. They were on the 2-yard line. They tried to do the QB sneak. It was a bit too far to do that. They should have just let the quarterback, roll out, run, in terms of put him in the shotgun and try and make a play like that instead of the way they did it. But I guess that is the most Army-Navy way to end a football game, is a little quarterback sneak up the middle, stop him right at the goal line, and who knows if they would have got the 2-point conversion anyways. But no, it was a good game. It was a good game.
And it's always fun to watch. If you just have nobody, you have no rooting interest, it's easy. Both teams going to be the American with Temple next year too. So Temple's going to get to see both those teams.
They both stink. I mean,
they don't both stink.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Army lost to UMass and Navy lost to Temple. They both stink. They're not good. I don't even know where these 6 and 5 wins come from. And how does Army not make a bowl game going 6 and 6? I don't really understand.
Not sure. I looked that up. I'm not sure. We'll have to. Well, it really doesn't matter because those guys are going to be going and serving in like Bosnia and places, Iraq.
Well, they want to play in the bowl game, and I don't think we have troops in Iraq anymore. Hey, do we?
Yeah, we have troops everywhere. You'd be surprised. We do.
Even Iraq? Did they?
Yes. Yeah, we have to have some people in Iraq to at least keep the base, keep everybody happy. Yeah. It's Afghanistan. We pulled everybody out. That's where it changes.
Sean McDermott got us into Iraq.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. well, that's a good transition to NFL. We had a good NFL weekend, starting off with our boys, the New England Patriots, with a pretty convincing win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are maybe the biggest fraud playoff team in the history of playoff teams. But we'll start off with them if you want to. I don't know how you want to run down this.
Yeah, obviously we'll start with the Pats. I got the whole list here, so we'll go with the Pats. The crazy thing is about this Pats game, and the Pats were 2-10 going into it. The majority of people thought the Pats honestly were going to win this game. Like I know me and you did. It was what I call it. It was a trap game in like the reverse way. It was a trap game that they were going to win because the Patriots are trying to lose, so the good results losing. It was a trap game as in this Steelers team is not good. They're not good. And you're getting them on Thursday night. Anything can happen on Thursday night. Bill Belichick needed the win to go into that to have his personality show on the Pick'em the ESPN Game Day for the Army-Navy game. They just needed the win and they got it. And I have a few things to say. I don't know. You watched the whole game, right?
Yeah, I did. I have to say that Zabby played a great first half. A couple really good catches. The good throws, put them in the right place. I really think he played really well first half. Second half, they died on offense. But they are always going to be, and Belichick is always going to be a defensive coach to start. I mean, if he can get the right, and I think you've made the point about McDaniels, if you get the right offense coordinator and the right quarterback here, you're going to win a lot more games than they did this year. I don't think they ever quit on him. I don't think the team's quit. I don't think the coaching staff's quit. Maybe the owner has quit. But I give a lot of credit. It's a game, you're right, a Thursday night game, and the weather was miserable. And they come out and they played hard and they won, deservedly so. And so what if they get the third pick instead of the second pick?
Well, they didn't. They actually didn't move. I know it could affect them in the long term, but they didn't. They still have the second pick. I'm pretty sure, based off like tiebreakers or whatnot. Zappe made some really good throws, some really good plays in that first half. Hunter Henry, they didn't have a lot of guys. Basically, their whole receiving core is out, but that really doesn't matter because they're not good anyways. Hunter Henry, I feel like, is pretty always reliable. He's a good player to have on your team. He's a good, not obviously build around, but he's at least someone who, if you were to build a team that's a playoff contending team, a Super Bowl contending team, he has a spot on my team. TJ Watt, who's the big player, blah, blah, blah. He was invisible in the first half. Pats did a great job on him. Second half, he dominated the game, I thought. The Pats special teams, horrible. 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 It's been horrible for 2-3 years now. That's got to change. It's honestly, it's a disgrace seeing they should have lost that game, the amount of chances they gave the Steelers. But Mitch Trubisky was the worst quarterback on the field by far. He's horrible.
Correct.
He's the worst quarterback in either of these two organizations is Mitch Trubisky.
It just goes to show you the what the value of a good quarterback is, or good talented what's going to come skill players. So I know we're going to go through all the other games, and I think you made the mention if Brock Purdy was here, they'd won 2 games as well.
No, the point is that they almost took Mac Jones over Trey Lance with the third pick. If they had taken Mac Jones with the third pick, there's a chance we're talking about Mac Jones like this MVP candidate guy and this great player. Honestly, it's situation in the NFL means a lot. Is Mac Jones that bad, or is like the Patriots that bad and the situation he's in that bad? If he were on the Niners and he had the stuff that Brock Purdy had, would he be as successful as Brock Purdy?
He probably would have. I think the Niners, Shanahan would have built his offense the same way, and all it is you limit mistakes. And if you're throwing to those receivers, Deebo Samuel and the like, and you've got McCaffrey in the backfield, it's hard to make a mistake because you can always just dump to them. That also, I know we're going to talk about this game later on too. That comes back to Patrick Mahomes. Another one who's got his receivers can't seem to catch the ball. Does that make him a poor quarterback, or does that make him have crappy skill position players? Now they can double up on people like our good friend Mr. Swift there.
Yeah, and the last thing about the Patriots game that I'll say before we get on to the next games is one more player that I'd like to shout out, just like Hunter Henry. He's a player. Jabril Peppers always plays hard. Really, he had the comments last week about how you're lucky we're ass, blah, blah, blah. But he was telling the truth. I saw him after the game. They really wanted to win the game for Coach Belichick, I saw. He's a guy, I know a lot of Pats fans have been saying this. It's like, I wish he was part of like the dynasty era Pats. I've liked him since high school. I liked him. I was in Michigan. I liked Michigan almost, not because of him, but him going to Michigan solidified my like for Michigan. Now I hate them. But he's just a guy who's always playing hard, and he's actually had a good year for them.
Good. You like Michigan because he's from Jersey, right?
Yeah, what was it? Yeah. What's the town called?
Elizabeth?
No. The town, I'm pretty sure I always pronounce it wrong. Paramus?
Oh, Paramus.
Is it Paramus? Paramus? Paramus?
It's
yeah.
Paramus.
Oh, I got it right. Yeah, I'm
right.
almost positive he's from Paramus.
That's good.
There's another guy, Rashad, he went to Michigan. He was also a top recruit. I could be wrong about Peppers, but Rashad Gary, he's from Paramus too.
Paramus.
New Jersey's like a crazy recruiting hotbed.
Yeah, and
honestly,
that's why you
talk to JTrevs about New
That's
Jersey.
why you bring coaches in that can recruit New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware area, that where all that football talent is. Not the coaches who can't recruit like our last 2 coaches at Temple. Okay, let's moving on. What do we got next?
He went to Paramus Catholic High School, so good for me.
I thought he was Jersey. At least I got that right.
No, yeah. I got high school right, though. That shows that I have been with him since day one.
Okay,
the next game, Tampa Bay beat Atlanta 29-25. Who cares? Indiana lost by 20 to Cincinnati. Indianapolis. I have this as IND. I should have. Indianapolis 14, Cincinnati 34. That's a blowout for
yes.
but again, Cincinnati still has all that talent. The culture of JTrevs not gonna like it, but the Colts are a fraud team. I mean, their record's fraudulent. They're no good.
They're fraud.
They're not a good.
What's the
difference between them and the Patriots? Honestly, are they that much better than the Patriots? No,
not much.
Not even close.
But back to Cincinnati, you're right. Again, the Browning kid comes in, has 2 great games. They've structured the offense what he can do.
Look at the talent,
and he's throwing the talent. He's got running back talent. They have 2 great receivers, right? Higgins and Chase.
Yeah. Has he been healthy? Higgins?
Yeah, he's been playing. And what's his name? Mixon is the running back. Plus, they have a very solid defense, good kicker. They have a chance, outside chance, without Joe Burrow to make the playoffs. But again,
playoffs in the AFC.
We'll talk about
There's
that later.
like 10, 12 teams, yeah.
Yeah, like everyone's 7-6.
That's the NFL in this day and age.
That's what they want it to be.
The offense, I'm telling you, receivers they're not as important as quarterbacks and as important as left tackles, but they're right there. They're honestly, if you look at the top teams, they all basically have top tier skill position talent.
They have to. Right.
And the Chiefs are the only one that kind of doesn't, but they do still have Travis Kelce.
And
it's
the
like people complain the Patriots, well, Brady don't have anything. It's like I know they were hurt every once in a while, but he always had Gronk, the best tight end ever. And for the most time, besides the one season when Edelman was hurt, he had Edelman who could catch the ball. And
the thing about Brady is
reliable guy to throw to.
Yeah, people forget about Brady was his first 4, 5, 6 years he was in the league. He was like Brock Purdy. He don't make a mistake, read the defense, make the right play, move the ball down the field, eat some clock, let the defense help us win. Then they moved to the Randy Moss type of player, from Randy Moss through his last few years with Gronk. I mean, he had some really good talent on offense. So that argument your argument is absolutely right. If you don't have talent, you're not going to win no matter what.
The only issue with comparing Brady to Brock Purdy is like they're probably comparable to teams, the 49ers and the Patriots, like in terms of their rosters. Brock Purdy's not winning 3 Super Bowls like Brady did, though. Like there's
no, and he's not because. He has so much
He's
more
not
talent.
as good as Tom Brady.
Those first 3 Super Bowl champs the Patriots had, if you take Adam Vinatieri off those teams, they might not win. But they did not have the greatest skill position players, Troy Browns and, all sorts of weird, who was the running back, a big guy running back they picked up for the second and third one. But again, it all comes down. If you have the talent, you have a quarterback who's smart and doesn't make mistakes, you're going to win football games. But that's what's happened with Browning versus Minshew or whoever. Browning played great and Minshew played shitty.
If they had a competent kicker, they still probably would have won 2. Obviously, the first one they win that was all Vinatieri, but they still probably would have won 2. Jacksonville, Cleveland. How about this one? Cleveland beat Jacksonville. This is a dagger for Jacksonville here when everything's getting tight. Actually, you know what though? They're going to win the division, so it doesn't matter. Cleveland beat Jacksonville 31-27. When the game, Jacksonville scored a touchdown. They had 20. It was 31-21. Jacksonville scored a touchdown to make it 31-27, a 4-point game.
Right. I remember this.
And Doug Peterson went for 2. Now, it ends up not mattering, but say you do get there's a minute left. You onside kick, you're 20 yards away from being in field goal range to tie the game. Well, I don't understand what going for 2 does there. If you get it, you could kick a game-winning field goal. I have no idea what going for 2 does there. Honestly, I have no idea. It takes if you don't get it, it means you have to get a touchdown to win the game instead of just a field goal.
No excuse. I don't understand either. You know what? Somebody upstairs said down, we should go for 2 because then, maybe,
who?
Now,
Fired him.
I'd have to look at what are the tiebreakers, and are the tiebreakers point differential?
That doesn't make a difference.
1 versus 1.
You know what the number 1 tiebreaker is? Wins and losses. You got to win the games.
Well, they weren't going to win the game.
You're thinking
they could have. They weren't. Yeah, when's the last successful onside kick in the NFL? When was it?
Who cares? But I think they still might have timeouts too, and a chance to get the ball back. That doesn't matter though. If you're talking point differential, which I know it's not, because JTrevs did text me the tiebreakers last night, and I'll get them for you. But point differential. They're one back where they could have been if they kicked the extra point.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to think what the logic was for that. It doesn't make any sense to me either. So. Again, they were going to lose that game. You're not going to get an onside kick, so they're going to lose. And their quarterback goes in half hurt anyway, and they stayed within striking distance of Cleveland. Again, then it's just a matter. Cleveland's playing with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is leading the Cleveland Browns over Trevor Lawrence. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, good for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, what do you got?
The tiebreakers are head-to-head first.
Which we understand. I knew that.
Division record second.
Division, I understand.
And then
that.
Record versus common opponents third. And then I have this text right after. I forgot this happened during the game. I think they were talking about the Eagles' offensive coordinator who's really, I guess, doing a great job, going to get a job. They're really high on him. Tirico is talking about his coaching history, and or it might not have been his coaching history. It could have been where he played high school football, and you could tell Tirico was like just fed this information because he ran by. Guess where he went to high school? He went to Robert E. Lee High School.
Oh, gee, they flew right by that.
Just went right by it real quick. He's like, Robert. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, JTrevs. So those are the tiebreakers from JTrev. But yeah,
I don't
going for
understand
2
why.
there, one of the worst decisions.
And
I've
the
ever seen in
Jags,
the
you're
NFL.
right. The Jags might still win, no doubt about it. But again, I've got 4 teams. When we're all done with this, I got the 4 teams I have questions on as we go forward. So next game.
This is the big, like, crazy. I didn't watch a second of this, but you look at it and you're like, what the hell is this score? The Jets beat the Houston. The Jets beat the Texans 30-6.
Yeah, Stroud got hurt, concussed early, and Mac Wilson played phenomenally over Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson played phenomenally over his head. That's a really good defensive team they have. And, again, with a competent quarterback, they'd have made the playoffs. Not saying they'd win everything, but a competent quarterback make the playoffs. I think.
What about with a Hall of Fame quarterback?
I think the biggest drawback there is Saleh is definitely a defensive coach, doesn't know how to handle a young quarterback, so he probably would have been better shape with and also Hackett's their OC, and he's terrible. He was terrible in Denver. He's terrible here. But that's an interesting game. Houston just shit the bed. Houston's not like Indianapolis, not like who else. All those fraud teams that are sitting out there, they're just fraud. Houston's a fraud. Cleveland. Who's the other fraud? Indianapolis, fraud. Tennessee, fraud. Even Jacksonville's probably a fraud.
Well, you can't you can't. I don't think Tennessee you got to be a fraud. You have to have some like
good
Steelers. I don't like Tennessee.
Oh, Steelers. That's right. Steelers are a fraud. You're right.
It's like Carolina fraud. No, they just suck. They're not a fraud. Then here's one of the better. There was actually ended up being a lot of good games. Baltimore beat the Ravens, not the Ravens. Baltimore beat the Rams. I can't do this again where I do it like this. I got to get the scores up. Baltimore beat the Rams in overtime. Walk-off punt returns are always fun. I feel like they happen quite often.
They happen more than walk-off kickoff returns. Yeah, they did. That was a game where Baltimore probably should have won that game a lot bigger than they did. Mm-hmm. But Stafford has just come up big. That Rams team is sneaky dangerous if they can make the playoffs because they have pretty good skill position players, and they got a good quarterback and they got a pretty decent defense. But again, going on the road, Baltimore, weather was horrible, had a chance to win, got the ball, punted away, punt return, punt 6, whatever we call it. But Baltimore's a team to reckon with.
Yeah, I don't know if the Rams are deep enough to like win the Super Bowl or really even win a playoff game. But
I'm not saying they're deep enough. Here's another problems, people.
Here's another 2-point conversion thing. So the Rams, I think I agree with this. The Rams, they went for 2 up 5.
Yep.
With 5 minutes left. So this was to go up 7 instead of 6. They went for 2 with 5 minutes left. They didn't get it. Baltimore came down and scored with, I think, like a minute left. Baltimore came down and scored with a minute left, which put them up 1. Now they go for 2, get it, and go up 3. The Rams end up coming down in the minute, kicking a field goal, sent to overtime. But if you think about it, if they had kicked the extra point the first time to go up 6 instead of 7, they would have won the game. But I think when you're down 5,
I think both guys made the right choice. You can't chase points first of all. And I think that's not what they're doing here. But secondly, you play the number. It says 3 is better than 2. Because a field goal beats you. 7 is better than 6 because a touchdown and an extra point beats you. I understand why they do that, and it's funny. You probably can go back and see that everywhere else. Why did you go for 3? Why'd you kick the extra point here and did you go for 2 there? But again, it just comes down to somebody's upstairs, like Ernie Adams was, and telling the coach, this is what we do. There's got to be a sheet somewhere out there. Maybe we can ask JTrev that question. Can he get us the sheet that says when you go for 2, when you don't go for 2?
It's like the blackjack thing, the book on blackjack.
Yes.
When you
hold?
There's no sheet because everyone's stupid.
Be a sheet,
there's not a sheet.
There's not one for college.
What we should do is develop a sheet. We should have JTrev should develop a sheet.
Okay, let's do that.
And we'll get some help from Rob and his math.
Yep,
and maybe some Kevin help too.
So we got
JTrev. We need a 2-point conversion sheet.
We got the 2 smart guys, Rob Immendorf and Kevin of Kevin. We're not allowed to say his last name.
Oh, yeah, good.
And we've got JTrev, who is the scout. So why don't we think about this? If you guys are listening, start jotting down some numbers so we can figure when do you go for it, when don't you, and why? Because there's always going to be a logic why. All right, who's our next?
Did I say
team?
Kevin's last name there?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin.
Where were we? Oh, Chicago. How about this? Detroit. Detroit's a fraud team.
I got them on my list.
They suck. It's every other week. They suck. They play like their coach. They're emotional like their coach. He's up and down, high and low, everything. The Bears beat them 28-13. Are the Bears sneaky decent?
I think what's happening right now is they're going to make a difficult decision even more difficult because Justin
I think they're going to keep
Fields is playing really well right now. Has he turned the corner? Has the coach, who is an offensive coach, the offense, they switched the coordinators, right? Offensive coordinator got fired in Chicago? I don't remember.
I don't think so. The defense. Remember the defensive coordinator had the
defensive coordinator fired. I think Fields is figuring it out, and if he figures it out, then you got 2 picks in the top 3, almost or 4, and you could really.
Well, they won't be top 4 with how many games they're winning.
Right,
now,
you could really.
First one,
they
have the number 1 pick. They're
10.
getting the number 1 pick.
Right.
That's a 2. They have 2 games.
So they could trade that.
They're going to trade it again.
They could
did last year.
They could have 3 picks in the top 15 if they
would
do this right.
Trade down to 2 or 3 if that 2 or 3 team is sold on Caleb Williams.
Right.
Take Marvin Harrison and then take the left tackle with your other pick from Penn State.
I don't doubt it.
So you get more draft capital with the trade from number 1 down, which they already have a ton because they got the number. What they got from trading from like 1 to 4 last year is what they got for it was the number 1 pick this year and more. So you do that and then you get your franchise left tackle. Hopefully you get one of the best wide receivers that's ever came into the draft. And then you see the quarterback, if you can't play with this, you can't play with anything.
Well, I think it comes down to are they sold on Fields or not, right?
I think they're going to
come down to are you sold on Fields? If you're sold on Fields, you do that. If you're not, you move him. And I'm telling you, one guy who really loved Fields coming on the draft, you know who that was?
Me?
Bill Belichick.
I liked him.
Belichick loved him. Belichick thought he might slide down to him, and he just I think the Bears picked him like 12th or something.
The Bears traded up for him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and they traded past the Patriots and took him. He loved, if I remember that very correctly, Bill loved Fields.
I can't imagine Bill dealing with him.
Bill's not stupid. He loves a good quarterback.
Well, who said he was good?
Well, he's starting to play better. They beat Detroit.
All right, the next game, a historic NFL game, but actually it's not. Minnesota 3, the Raiders 0. So, scoreagami? No. They said, I don't know if this is 47th or 48th time it's happened in NFL history. The NFL
And
sucks.
I'll tell you something, if I paid $250 to go see that football game, I'd not be a happy camper. That's no talk. Both teams, fraud. That coach, that fraud, that whole thing.
Like I said last week, the Premier League has had, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, the Premier League has had
me yesterday.
3 0-0 draws in the entire season. There's been more Premier League games than NFL games this year. The NFL's had a game, because you guys like to complain 0-0, boring. The NFL just had a game where 0 touchdowns were scored. And that's happened multiple times this year. Did that happen to the Patriots?
Yes.
Because they lost 6-0. Was that 2 field goals? Yeah, that's happened multiple times this year. No touchdowns were scored. You make up these points, touchdowns are worth 7. It's like someone makes a good point. It's like if it's 28-21, the score is 4-3. It's not 28-21.
But again, it's
imagine watching all those commercials.
I'm not going to.
3-0.
I'm not going to defend that. That is a horrible, horrible, horrible thing to watch. The NFL is also a weird thing. You know, it's 5 seconds of action and a minute of no action, and 5 seconds of action and 30 seconds of no action. Then a commercial, and you got 2.5 minutes. So I agree with you to some extent. I don't understand the Premier League, or I don't understand international soccer and all the passing shit around. But I understand the how football works, and I'm watching the play. I like to watch the replay. So there's a give and take between. But a 3-0 score. Let's move on to the next game.
Do you know Jabril Peppers won both the 100 and 200 meter dash in the New Jersey 2013 Meet of Champions?
That's
becoming
awesome.
only the second person to ever do so. Look at that.
That's amazing stats. Jack's looking stuff up as well.
I got lost in.
Yeah, you get lost. This is what happens to Jack.
Great.
Jack is like a squirrel.
No, he's great. He's great. Okay. We're almost getting to the 2 real good games. Actually, one of them wasn't that good, but San Francisco beat Seattle 28-16. That was going on when that Chiefs game was going on. Nobody was really paying attention to it. At least I wasn't. San Francisco, they have to be the best team in the NFL right now. There's no way. I guess you could maybe argue the Cowboys, but they killed the Cowboys. So
yeah, I would go if we would have draft. I think right now the Niners, but again, everybody's got to stay healthy. What happens if McCaffrey bums up a knee or hurts a shoulder?
Yeah, the Niners conditionally on their guys staying healthy, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah,
everyone's like that though.
No, because I think they're more like if CeeDee Lamb got hurt, it would be less of an impact than if like Samuel got hurt. I think because the quarterback's just better. That's true. That could solve that problem more than Purdy.
I think in that situation, if McCaffrey gets hurt, they could afford to lose Debo, but they can't afford to lose McCaffrey. That's how I look at that in the San Francisco side.
Yeah,
don't think they can.
All right, here's the big game with everyone's talking about today. Buffalo beats Kansas City. Finally, they win in Arrowhead 2017. A lot of stuff went on in that game. A lot of stuff. I'll let you start. I have a bunch.
Well, I'll start off with the fact that Kansas City might be the most overrated team that ever played football right now because they have a great quarterback and they have receivers who have bricks for hands and they can't catch the football. They can't hold on to the football. They got lucky the Kelsey piece. One he dropped, he fell right on top of. They played against Josh Allen, who made an absolutely horrible interception, threw an interception that just was horrible instead of getting rid of it and punting. But they're going nowhere right now with those skill position players. And I would go back to saying, who the hell has drafted these players or traded for these players? Whoever the GM is of Kansas City, he deserves much of the blame because what are you looking at? How do you Tony they brought in from the Giants last year, right? They won a Super Bowl with
He was great in the Super Bowl.
They won a
last
Super
year.
Bowl with that crap, and now they said, let's roll the dice again. You know, the Tyreek Hill thing, I understand money-wise, but that just completely shot the hell out of their offense. I don't know if they have the ability to win 3 games, especially because they're going to have to go on the road as well now to make a Super Bowl back. I'm very disappointed in that. I'm very disappointed in the quarterback. Maybe it's not all his fault, but it's just been. I look at that team as it's his opportunity lost.
All right, so I'm not blaming the executive. I'm not blaming the front office for this because the Chiefs front office, where they've picked in last years, and this is like more so on the defensive end, they've had great drafts the past couple of years.
Defensively, yes.
Where you blame is, wasn't there a guy like Sean Hopkins was available, right, as a free agent? He was available,
right.
But you had to pay him. That's on the ownership, is them not going and getting a guy like Deshaun Watson. I think this offseason you'll see... Deshaun, what am I... who are we talking about?
I don't know, receiver.
Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know why.
Odell Beckham was available too.
You're no help when I get names wrong because you're 10 times worse than I am.
I'm letting you forget those names.
All right, Hopkins.
Makes me look good.
Yeah, you're actually throwing me off. Okay, so DeAndre Hopkins, they should have been in on him 100%. That's on the ownership, not the front office. The front office has done a good job putting the team together. They've done what they can, and they've tried to get these. What happened last year is they did. Smith-Schuster went crazy in the Super Bowl, and Tony had a great Super Bowl. It's like, how did that happen? You know how lucky they were to get those performances out of those guys?
Valdez Scantling too, right?
I don't know if they had him last year.
No,
I don't think so. He's horrible. He can't catch the ball this year.
For the Patriots.
So the Chiefs thing. So everyone right now is all about this. Patrick Mahomes is a big crybaby. Chiefs get all the calls. Blah 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 blah. They're so hated, and it's mainly they play New England next week. It's mainly New England fans pushing all this because they hate the Chiefs more than you would believe. But everyone complained about the stupid offsides and Mahomes is a crybaby. Blah, blah, blah. I can't take that. It's annoying. Mahomes shouldn't have done it. It's annoying from all these people that are holier than thou about, they get all the calls. It's like last week they didn't. Last week there was the most blatant pass interference of all time that they didn't get.
Right.
It happens.
Right.
The refs happens. What sucks about that is the fact that Tony lined up offsides, and honestly, if we really talk about it, that might have been like the greatest play of all time.
I'm just going to say, you would have had the greatest play. One of the top 10 plays all time in
threw
NFL
that ball
history.
20 yards. He threw it like 20 yards.
He threw it 20 yards right on the numbers.
Yeah,
right on the numbers.
a true jaw-dropping moment. And the best thing about that is Josh Allen would have had timeouts and a minute left to go down the field and get an answer.
Right.
It would have been a great game if that penalty wasn't called. But again, you have to call the penalty. I get they're saying some stuff about they have to check in with the ref's supposed to check and wave. But Tony didn't even look at the ref. That guy's an idiot.
The ref said, I heard somebody say today that the line judge there wants to be able to at least see the football, and Tony was in his vision to see the football. That's how bad he was. That's how far he was.
No, if you look at the picture, it was horrible. But everyone's really mad at Mahomes right now. Like really, like
they have to be mad at somebody.
And he's never been like in this position in his life. Now, what I will say is his anger was at his team and was at his receivers, and he took it out on the refs.
The refs, right?
And so did Reed. And I saw somebody on Twitter was like, "Well, that's bad leadership taking on the refs. He should call out his teammates." What are you talking about? It's good leadership to call out the refs and not call out your teammates. I'm going to compare it because we're going there without this guy. We're going there this weekend. We're going to Anfield. And what happened last year at Anfield...
Jesus H.
You have to hear this point. What happened last year at Anfield is we lost 7-0. And it was the worst Man United performance probably of all time. And all 11 players, zeros out of 10. All 11 players. But there was one player who got all the attention, who got all the blame, and who took all the blame, and that was Bruno Fernandes. And everyone are going to rip on him, blah, blah. He's suspended for the game this year, probably a good thing. But everyone was ripping on him, and he took it all, and nobody even talked about anybody else that played in that game. And what I'm seeing this morning, nobody's even talking about Tony right now. Nobody's even talking about
Talking about
Rashad
Mahomes,
Rice
right.
fumbling the ball. Nobody's talking about all the drops they've had this year. They're talking about Mahomes being a crybaby. So you know what? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Just for our listeners out there, Anfield is Liverpool's home stadium. So
do not
Premier
watch
League,
this weekend.
Anfield,
Do not watch.
Anfield,
Don't watch.
Please watch because I want to see Man U's really struggling. All right, football next. Real
I have
football.
to say,
real football.
So NBC, we're going to skip
real football.
So yeah, we'll go. NBC did. I just before we get to this game, NBC played a commercial for the Liverpool United game. Tirico actually did like a live read. Right after they did the read, Dak had the fumble that was recovered for a touchdown. Literally right after. We're in trouble this weekend with these omens.
All right.
But a couple more things on the Chiefs
Jack
games.
believes in omens.
We got to talk. This Chiefs game this is why we spend time talking about all these crap games. We got to spend a lot of time on this Chiefs game.
I just want to hear what's your take then. What do you think?
Allen made some great plays, third down out of the pocket. So he made one of the best plays ever. That throw that somebody stayed in, it was unbelievable. But then again, he sometimes makes dumb plays out of the pocket.
Which he did
like
on that.
Which is the give and take that you get with him. And then the last thing, the Bills clock management. Again, we got the guys up in the thing with the sheets and all this. What about the timeout sheets? And they ran the right play to get the screen to Diggs to get to the 2-minute warning, but he drops it. So then the next play, you have to get to the 2-minute warning. What do? They take a shot, they throw another incompletion, and they basically give the Chiefs all the time in the world to do whatever they wanted. And luckily, they didn't get it done. But yeah, I've already made my Sean McDermott joke, so I won't make this next one I have. But
what's the next Sean McDermott joke? I'm curious.
If the perpetrators of 9/11 had his clock management skills, the world would be a much different place today.
Oh, that's not even funny. That's not even funny.
Yes,
I'll tell you one thing though. Buffalo, if they get in the tournament, can be dangerous because their quarterback can win games on his own. Buffalo, and they got pretty good skill. They don't have a great defense, good skill. I wouldn't be shocked. They got to get into the tournament. If they get in the tournament, they could cause some problems with a team like Kansas City, team like even Miami. They've handled Miami pretty well. So that's Buffalo.
All right, Denver beat the Chargers. Denver's now one game back on the Chiefs. One game.
They got beat by 50-plus points, right? Against
they gave 70 points in a game.
Yeah.
And they are now one game back of the Chiefs. They don't play them, so that could be tough. But I don't know what the schedules look like. I would still imagine the Chiefs win the division. But
Chiefs got the Patriots, so that's good for the Chiefs.
Yeah, that should be a get-right game for them. And then Sunday night, the Dak show. Dallas beats Philly 33-13.
Fraud team. I told your dad. I told Pop, my father. I told him that they were fraud. They were fraud. They were just sneaking by on spitting baling wire or whatever the hell they do to keep it going. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Eagles are on my list of the fraud. Before we go on, my fraud list is Eagles, Lions, Jags, and Chiefs. Those are my frauds. Frauds
Eagles,
for the week.
Lions, Jags, and Chiefs.
Yeah, those are my 4 frauds. All
right. If you picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl.
I know I did, but I've watched them for 3 weeks.
You picked them to win the Super Bowl. No, you picked the Bills.
I watched them for 3 weeks to win the Super Bowl, and they're terrible. Oh,
yeah, they're horrible. Their defense is terrible. Oh, my God, it's bad.
It's bad.
And then they got the guy so here's the other one, Big Play Slay. He calls himself Big Play Slay on the intros. He got mad at Mike Tirico in their meeting for calling him Darius, which is his name. So don't call me Darius. It's Slay or Big Play Slay. It's like, this guy stinks. It's the same thing as James Shields, Big Game James.
Yeah, I remember him.
Big Game James' playoff record, I looked this up, he's 3-6 with a 5.7 ERA. Big Game James. These stupid nicknames. Ugh. So yeah, he got roasted all game.
Yep,
on the other side, Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore, played for the Pats, great player. Unbelievable game, locked up A.J. Brown. 0 offensive touchdowns for Philly. Their offense, talk about their defense, their offense sucked that game too. Jalen Carter got the scoop and score right after the Anfield ad.
I'll tell you something that's funny, but real quick, their quarterback's banged up because he runs all over the place. They'll struggle if he's banged up. They always will. If he's not healthy, they're going to struggle. Just like Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, that type of quarterback you struggle with if they're banged up, and he is banged up right now.
Yeah, that dude, who was it? It was David Carr, Derek Carr's brother, who said that he got so much heat for saying they should bench him for a little bit and play Mariota and let him get healthy because there's no way the Eagles are in the Super Bowl with him banged up and not fully healthy. Yeah. He got annihilated for that take. He could have been right. Last thing, there was a ton of flagging in that game, but the last thing I have, the Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey, showed why you should never, ever, 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 ever draft a kicker. Why you should never, ever draft a kicker.
Well, he never kicked in college.
Never played football in his life. He was a first-round pick in the MLS draft from Notre Dame. Why would you ever draft a kicker like the Patriots did this year who sucks? He's getting a call. Even the 49ers drafted a kicker this year, and he's not been great, and he was great in college. Never draft a kicker. You can find him anywhere. He had a 45-yarder, a 50-yarder, a 59-yarder, and a 60-yarder.
Unbelievable.
I know it's indoors, but look, you can find these guys anywhere, these soccer players. I say our goalkeeper for Man United right now stinks. He stinks. But I do have to say, the way he kicks the ball, I think he could be one of the best kickers in the NFL. So Bill Belichick.
Totally
no more
agree
drafting
with that.
kickers.
I'm sure that when JTrevs comes up, because this will take us forever with JTrev, but he'll probably have him player of the week. So that's it for the NFL. Just so you know, we're recording this on Monday, the 11th of December, so we won't have the 2 Monday night games going tonight. So I guess we'll go.
There's two, isn't there?
2 tonight.
What are they? They're
I don't even know.
No, it's there's one.
Should I have written that down?
The Dolphins are playing.
Yeah.
So I know that's a team. So JTrevs got us in a big AFC playoff picture matchup on Sunday. The Browns defeated the Jags 31-27 to move to 8-5 and a full game ahead of the pack of 6 teams that sit at 7-6. In the process, the Browns moved to an impressive 6-1 at home and handed the Jaguars their second loss in a row, where they now sit at 8-5. You could spend an entire podcast alone dissecting the AFC playoff seeding, but the Browns deserve some extra attention this week. The quarterback position has been a complete mess all season for the Browns, mostly revolving around Deshaun Watson's underwhelming play and the injuries that he has dealt with. But with his season-ending shoulder injury a few weeks ago, put the team in an even tougher situation. The front office and Kevin Stefanski deserve a ton of credit for being proactive, and rather than accepting their fate with the guys they had in the house, they went out and signed Joe Flacco off the street. His first start last week against the Rams ended in a loss, but there were plenty of positive signs the offense could operate at a functional level. Those positive vibes carried over to this week's game against Jacksonville, in which Flacco and the offense scored 31 points and gained nearly 400 yards. The Browns were able to score a touchdown every quarter, and even though the defense deserves plenty of credit for forcing 4 turnovers and giving the offense more opportunities, the offense was efficient moving the ball all afternoon and avoiding any sort of funk where the Jags could gain some momentum. The offensive line had a really good day against Josh Allen, the defensive guy, Josh Allen, and the Jaguars' pass rushers allowing only 1 sack. They didn't run the ball all too successfully, but they remained committed enough to pick up some key first downs and keep the Jaguars honest. Flacco did turn the ball over twice, which made the game closer than it had to be, but the offense looked as good as it has all season outside of Watson's final half of his season in the comeback win over the Ravens. Stefanski had a great day calling plays and not overcomplicating things for Flacco. Throwing the ball 45 times isn't a sustainable recipe for success, but a lot of those 45 attempts were quick game concepts that simply were 1 or 2 progression reads. The Browns' defense is a top 5 unit in football with their ability to force turnovers and create pressure up front, which they proved again Sunday. Trevor Lawrence, albeit a less than 100% version of himself, was seeing ghosts for much of the game en route to 3 interceptions. As long as Flacco and the offense play at a competent level, this is a playoff-caliber team that shouldn't have to sweat out the crowded playoff race in the conference. Well, that's high praise for the Browns.
Yes, it is. And again, he made one very good word he used there was efficient. Again, we go back to Flacco had to be efficient. He didn't have to be great for them to win. And he came in, he did what a veteran does. He learned. He's going to learn because it's a quicker learning curve for him as well. He was efficient. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but their defense is going to make the playoffs, but efficient. Boy, JTrev's getting more and more long-winded every week, isn't he?
That was about the same as always. The Lions have not been playing well over the last month. On Sunday, the Lions thoroughly outclassed I got to print these out. On Sunday, the Lions were thoroughly outclassed by the 5-8 Bears, who in their own right deserve a lot of credit for how they are playing. Through the first 9 weeks of the season, they look like a borderline top 5 team in football. Maybe they can find a way back to that caliber over the final quarter of the season, but there are some troubling things going on in Detroit recently. Most of it revolves around the defense, and there have been some flashing warning signs about this group for quite some time now. Since the Ravens blew the doors off the Lions in Week 7, the Lions defense ranks 31st in success rate. In more practical terms, that means on down-to-down basis, the Lions defense is playing better than one other team in the league. In that game in Baltimore, the Ravens put out a clear blueprint of film of how to take advantage of this unit that almost all the Lions opponents have had great success. If you remember from the second half of the 2022 season, the Lions were one of the nicest stories in the league, showing a ton of growth under Dan Campbell behind a fun and efficient offense, aggressive decision-making, and some turnover luck. The defense was never part of that equation. In fact, it was one of the worst units in the league. In the offseason, the Lions used the draft and free agency to upgrade the personnel, especially in the secondary. Unfortunately, they've lost 2 of their 3 big secondary signings to injury, and their first-round linebacker Jack Campbell has his head spinning out there on the middle of the defense. Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn returned with a strong vote of confidence from Campbell, but he has never been known as a Jim Schwartz or Steve Spagnuolo type that varies coverage and fronts to mess with offenses. The defense he calls is built on two high concepts that are meant to prevent game-breaking plays and dare the offense to stay committed to the run. This isn't different from a lot of other coordinators out there, but when the pass rush isn't getting home like it was the first 6 weeks, turnovers aren't being forced at the same rate, and the personnel hasn't gotten much better when considering the injuries, you get a static unit that can be taken advantage of. The offense looked inept for much of the day against Chicago, but week to week, there isn't much to be concerned about there. With a defense like this, the Lions won't be able to compete with the class of the NFC. Yeah, I agree. They stink.
I totally agree. They're one of my fraud teams. The defense is terrible. But again, they could win the North, right?
Who?
Detroit. The only team going to compete with them is Green Bay. The Packers.
I'll take the Packers.
Jordan Love
right
led Packers, but I think that's spot on. Again, like I said, I'm surprised. That's one of my teams he picked up there, which two of my teams. He had the offense, was Cleveland against Jags, and he had the Lions defense. So I totally agree with those both. What do we got for Player of the Week?
Since I felt nice this week, I had a few nominations for Player of the Week. Matt Stafford and Lamar Jackson were throwing haymakers back and forth all afternoon in perhaps the most fun game I have seen this season. Stafford made two of the best throws I've seen this season, including the opening touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp and the late third down conversion to Puka Nacua. Lamar continues to show insane growth as a passer and mental processor in a totally revamped offense. It was an incredible game of offensive football, which was refreshing to see after some of the ineptitude that we have seen. Zach Wilson played the best game of his career against the Texans, throwing for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and avoiding the inevitable turnover. The most impressive part of the performance was how all the damage was done in the second half after some halftime adjustments. It's not like Hackett and the offense had some great game plan going into this one. They scored 0 points in the first 30 minutes, and it felt like every first down play call was the same, a handoff into a stacked box. Credit to the staff for unleashing Wilson and the offense in the second half, which should be the plan going forward. Dak Prescott has to get another shout-out as well. It was nice to see Dak prove himself against an upper echelon team in the league, which has been what many NFL folk were waiting to see. The ball feels like it is going to be completed every time it leaves his hands, and no one is hotter than he is right now. His teammate kicker Brandon Aubrey is a weapon as well. He's yet to miss a field goal this season and hit 2 field goals from 59 and 60 in this game, both of which hit the net and may have been good from 70. We knew he'd say the kicker.
He loves the kick. And again, that quarterback. I like Stafford now that he's fully healthy. He was tough. Again, that game was a little sloppy because of the rain. But again, I like the way they've reconfigured Lamar Jackson to keep him healthy. Because again, like I said about our friends from Philadelphia, you need to be healthy. You're going to win. If you're a good quarterback, he's got to be upright. Dak has been Dak for the last 8 weeks. He's been maybe the best player in the league. And then Zach Wilson, we already talked about. So those are my four. Those are your 4 players of the week. What's final? Let's finish out the NFL talk with our 4. Or our player of the non-player of the week.
Also, since I felt nice this week, I would keep this short and sweet. The referees in the NFL this year are the worst I've ever seen them, even though they got the offside call against Kadarius Toney correct. Something needs to be done with these guys, starting with making it a point of emphasis to throw less flags. Joe Brady, what were you doing, man? That was some of the worst clock man. Oh, he also... Okay, Joe Brady, and then, so to throw less flags, he also has Joe Brady as one of his, what are you doing, guys? So he's the offensive coordinator of the Bills.
Correct.
So that was some of the worst clock management I've ever seen at the end of the game, and they were lucky to get out of Arrowhead with the win after giving the ball back to Mahomes with all that time left. The entire Raiders offense, another one, the entire Raiders offense should be embarrassed for their goose egg at home against the Vikings. I can't wait to see the all-22 of what Brian Flores was doing to poor Aiden McConnell. But to not muster up a single point is a shocking development. Josh McDaniels is smiling somewhere.
Of course he is.
Rooting against the him and Gruden are probably watching the games together.
The Raiders are kind of lost in their own world.
Well, yeah.
Again,
JTrev watching the all-22.
Yeah. I don't. What does he do?
Wait, JTrev, if you tell me in the all-22, does Kadarius Toney point to the ref or no?
Yeah, I'm sure that he didn't. But again, refereeing has been up and down. It always has. And when you lose or when you have this much parity, I think the winner in NFL is the parity, especially the AFC. Because you got 25 teams who can make the playoffs still, but the losers are the fraud teams. I'm going to back as the Eagles, Lions, Jags, and Chiefs are my new fraud teams for the week. San Francisco and Dallas are leading the way. We'll see how Miami plays tonight, and then in Baltimore again, another team to watch out for. He's struggled to get to back to the Super Bowl because they haven't been back there like in 12 years. But those teams would be the ones I would be really looking forward to. Miami, Baltimore. Dallas, and our good friends from San Francisco. So that's where I at, Jack. Now we're going to switch off to baseball, right?
I guess, yeah. Big baseball news, huh?
Big, huge baseball news. $700 million for Shohei Ohtani. Now, they all tell you It'll pay itself back. It'll pay itself back. Well, it'll pay itself back somewhere. The Dodgers can afford him. He's going to defer a lot of money. He's probably going to hit their salary cap at not salary cap, but their luxury tax at like $50 million a year. And now they have the great. They have Mookie, they have Ohtani, they have Freeman in their lineup, and they have no pitching. So it just goes to show you that I love Ohtani. He's been on my fantasy team 3 or 4 years. Great player. Is he worth the money? Of course he's worth the money because you could just stream your games to freaking Japan and make a shitload of money. Market everything to Japan and make all that money back. Does it make them a championship team? I don't know. Well,
they already were a championship team. They blow it every year, and
they won one year.
He'll probably fit. Yeah, they didn't.
They won. That doesn't count.
Okay, yeah.
You know that doesn't count.
I know it doesn't count. Obviously, it doesn't. You just said it counts, but no, it doesn't.
No, I said it doesn't count.
Yeah, obviously. But why'd you bring it up? They're horrible. They're choke artists. He'll fit right in. Nobody has the balls to say this. That's a horrible contract. Honestly, horrible. He's having Tommy John right now.
Second Tommy John.
His second Tommy John surgery. What if he never recovers from that? You're paying a hitter who's he's probably comparable to Juan Soto in terms of how good they are as hitters. Juan Soto's not getting 10 years, $700 million.
But Juan Soto is also not from Japan, and you have a whole another market out there, though.
Cool,
That's the other thing.
Market.
There is a market. He is the most marketable player in the game today. The most marketable player in the game today.
Correct. You're going to make money, but cool, you make money. But how about the luxury tax and where the luxury tax starts to hurt you with draft picks and international signing? And in 7, 8 years from now, when they've been over the luxury tax for 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row, and Mookie's 40 years old and Ohtani's 40 years old, what are they? How are they? They're not going to be able to build up their farm system like they have in the past. With the disadvantages that we have, forfeiting draft picks and international money.
But I don't know. But if the Red Sox could give him $70 million a year, everybody would be thrilled.
No, I wouldn't have. But you can go back to my takes. Ohtani was not what the Red Sox need. The Red Sox need pitching now. I agree with you. The Dodgers, I don't know. Now people go, "Oh, you're a party pooper," blah blah. No, I don't. I think it's a terrible contract. Honestly, it's a terrible contract. He's a great player. He's probably the best player in the history of baseball. But you might never see what you're paying him for. I agree with that. You take a chance on the 2-time Tommy John guy with pitching because you're giving him the $70 million is for hitting and pitching. That's where the $70 million comes from. I think that is it going to be like the Stanton contract, some kind of an albatross, or is it going to be a contract? They don't care. Maybe these double
guys,
what Stanton
maybe
makes.
These guys are making so much money. If
that's not the point I'm talking about here.
You're talking about
I'm talking about the luxury tax and how it's going to affect this team down the road. They have to win now. They're not going to be able to get under the luxury tax. This sounds like John Henry would love this take, but
like
it's
John
true.
Henry.
Every once in a while, the Dodgers did it. They reset. At some point, if you're that over the luxury tax, the penalties are severe in baseball. I know there's no salary cap. I know they're going to make money. They're not going to lose money off this. But I'm talking about you forfeit draft picks, high draft picks, and you forfeit money to sign international players.
Right.
Which look at the league. Acuna was probably coming out of. Is he from Venezuela? Good for me. Coming out of Venezuela. He probably got a ton of money. You look at Devers, ton of money. All these guys coming out of these places, you won't be able to sign those top Latin American prospects anymore.
Then as we revive, then you have to develop it. Then you have to learn to develop players.
But you can't. You can't develop non-talent.
That doesn't matter though. They don't care. Why do they care? San Diego signs all those guys 10 years down the road. They're not worried about 10 years down the road. Who knows what the landscape of baseball is
now? San Diego didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't, right? I agree with that. So let's circle back. Ohtani's off the board. Aaron Nola's off the board.
I'll be the one to say it's no. Everyone's
Aaron Nola's off the board. Sonny Gray's off the board. All these pitchers are off the board. Now we go back to the Red Sox.
They're paying a guy $70 million next year to hit. To DH.
Yeah.
To play DH. Yeah. $70 million.
Can I say something?
That's ridiculous.
Can I say something?
It's ridiculous.
Not your money.
It does not matter.
Your money.
It doesn't matter. I would rather have Juan Soto and Yamamoto for that money. I would. I'd rather get both of them. I'd rather just get those two players signed. I'd rather trade for Juan Soto, sign him, and then I'd rather give him $400 million and then get Yamamoto for $300 million.
So you're going to give the guy...
That's what I want. A guy I know can pitch and a guy I know can hit.
You know can pitch, but you don't know if he can pitch here. Daisuke Matsuzaka, the biggest guy anybody brought over from Japan.
At least he
years ago. He threw 1 year, he won like 20-3 because he just kept winning games.
At least he can throw the baseball. Ohtani can't throw the baseball.
We understand that.
I'm just saying that's my take.
We understand.
I would rather have Juan Soto and Yamamoto than Ohtani.
So the Yankees are going to come out the winners.
If they get Yamamoto, hell yeah.
Okay, and if the Dodgers get Yamamoto, what do you say?
If the Dodgers get Yamamoto, I don't know what's going on, honestly. Talk about my luxury tax take. Clearly, they don't care.
Like I said, they've deferred their money. They have no pitching. They're not paying for any
There's
pitching.
tiers of the luxury tax.
Yeah, I know
Is
that,
there
but right now
does
they're
it-
not even the top tier yet. Even that it's going to end up being $50 million.
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
at
even
that
at the top tier. Okay, forget Ohtani. He signed, sealed, delivered. Yamamoto's not going to come here.
Why not?
He's not going to come here.
But why not?
Because they're not going to give him $50 million
So then
a year.
why do we care anymore?
Because you care. You brought it up. You care. You
Why
care
do we
about
care
how
about
much money they pay.
if they're not going to sign? But the Red Sox are in a different situation. The Red Sox aren't paying a guy. Yamamoto would make $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Ohtani's
Would you
making
pay? Okay.
70 or 50 on
if
the books.
Yamamoto came to you and said, "I want 5 years," what's 5 threes? $350 million. Yes or no?
5 years, $350 million.
That's
That'd be
50 a year,
70.
right?
Oh,
No,
50
70
a year.
No, it's 5 and
That would be 250.
250, right? 5 years, 250. Would you do it? Yes or no? Real quick. Yes or no? Off the top of your head. Yes or no?
I'll go.
Oh, blank
I'll go
space.
yes because the Red Sox don't have that much like money on the books like the Dodgers do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let's go to the Red Sox, and we've had this discussion at home. I lived through the early '90s when they were bringing in Andre Dawson and all sorts of fun people.
And wait,
what?
To defend my point there, 5 years,
Dawson.
the luxury tax, it builds up by the amount of years you're over it in a row.
Correct.
So you could, if you do 5 years, it's only 5. You could reset after that. So yeah, that's that.
Correct, but also
why that
there are
doesn't sound
ways.
hypocritical
There
by
are
me.
ways for them to maneuver around the luxury tax, which is what they're doing. What San Diego gave Xander 12 years or 10 years. It's
San
all
Diego's
deferred
going
money.
bankrupt.
No, they're not going bankrupt. They don't have the money because they didn't get the money from the TV.
Didn't their owner die?
No, yes, he did pass away. You're right. I forgot.
Who's
And
taking
he
over
was-
this team?
Their owner died, and he was related to the O'Malleys, who once owned the Dodgers. Did you know that? Little fun fact.
O'Malley.
On the Red Sox,
Martin O'Malley?
no. Peter O'Malley was part. Seidler, I think his name was.
Where was he the governor of Martin O'Malley?
Martin. He
Was that New Jersey?
No, O'Malley was the governor of Maryland.
Okay.
O'Malley was Maryland.
Close enough.
Some politics. I don't want to get into politics. So back to the Red Sox. You know.
It's not politics. That's who was the governor
I
of
know.
where.
Back to the Red Sox. What do you expect them to do? What do you think they should do? What do you think the final outcome is going to be?
The Red Sox, I'm losing faith in the ownership.
Because what
I
is
mean,
it, December 11th?
Maybe, and you know what? I might have been wrong about this he who must not be named. It might have been the ownership, honestly. I think we're just a second-rate team now. You see it, the Dodgers, it's the Yankees, it's the Padres, I'm missing a team. It's the
Braves.
Mets. It's the Mets.
Braves,
It's
Mets.
not us. It's just
San
not the Red
Francisco?
Sox anymore.
So San
It's
Francisco
not-
and Red Sox are the same because they
there's-
can't sign a big
There's
free
no
agent?
more signing Manny Ramirez. There's no more. Well, they
signed Devers to that outrageously
that's
long
different.
contract. Why
That's
is that different?
because he's not a free agent.
Okay, why is it different?
Because it
Not
was
a
the
free
third time they had a chance to pay a homegrown player, and they finally did it.
So, okay, let me ask you this: who do you consider to be the franchise players in the game today? There's probably about 5 or 6 of them. Who are the guys?
There's at least 20,
who are
30.
they?
There's probably
Okay.
30 franchise players. There's too many to name.
Okay,
not
give
gonna
me
name
your
the
top
franchise.
5.
I don't know.
Ohtani?
No.
No.
You know what? Because
Mookie?
nobody will do it. I'm an Ohtani hater. No, screw
Mookie?
Ohtani. Ohtani's just a great
Mookie?
hitter. He's an elite hitter. What if that goes away? He's not going. This
What if,
pitching thing.
what if he gets hit by a goddamn car? Of course. What if it goes away? Jesus, Jack. Of course, you can't play it like that. You answer the question.
People don't get hit by cars in
so,
Japan.
So I had a discussion with
Maybe in
Dennis.
LA, though.
Dennis Ingram and I had this discussion about Soto. You only get once to get a generational player. Let's call it a generational player. How many generational players are there in the MLB right now?
Generational talent.
Generational talent.
I don't know.
We
There's a
had
lot. There's
one.
a lot. There's
We had-
honestly a lot.
We had one.
Yeah. Okay.
We traded him for shit, right? We had one.
Would you a generational talent is basically a generational talent's a Hall of Famer is basically what you're saying.
Okay, so you're saying there's 50 Hall of Famers in the MLB? No, there's not even
There's 20
there's
to
not even
30 guys I would
15
say
there's
are
not even
potential
15 there's not
future
even
Hall of Famers.
15 Hall of Famers playing right now. Not even 15. So I'm saying.
I think I disagree with
So I think
that.
that's where listen, Henry pisses me off because they won't spend money. I got to give Craig Breslow at least the benefit of the doubt that the first thing he did was get rid of Verdugo. The first thing that our friend Bloom did was get rid of Mookie. All right, whether he was told to get rid of Mookie or not, he got rid of Mookie
That's a bad point.
at the exact wrong time.
But there was
During the
nothing
pandemic, he jumps Mookie.
But that's
Idiot.
my point. My point right now is I'm not blaming Breslow for this, and I'm saying we might have been wrong about Hein Bloom. It's exactly the owner. That wasn't Hein Bloom's fault that trade happened then. It was Hein Bloom's fault that he traded for garbage, but it wasn't. You're blaming about the timing of the trade. That's on John Henry. That's not on Hein Bloom.
So, like I said earlier, my
trade
goal with bringing somebody new into here was somebody. You have to develop pitching somewhere. If you develop pitching, you can use pitching to trade pitching. Breslow now has He's got the Nick Yorks. He's got the Blaze kid. He's got the Blaze. He's got all these guys he can trade. He's got like 3 guys that are untradeable in there. You don't trade Anthony. You don't trade Teal, and you don't trade Mayer. Everybody else you can trade for Cease or whoever you want to get, Corbin Burns, whatever you want to do. You can't be afraid to make that move, which is what our good friend Dave Dombrowski did. He wasn't also afraid to spend the money either. So that's where I'm looking at it from. I look at it from that perspective. But give me a quick rundown on Soto and the Yankees.
No, it's a good trade for them. It is the only problem with that trade is you're going to force Aaron Judge to play center field daily, and he breaks down easily. That guy in center field at Yankee Stadium might be the hardest center field to play in baseball because it's so damn big. Because they have the huge power alleys and the short porches in the right and left field. They're easy to play, but center field's huge at Yankee Stadium. That's a lot to run around for him. But yeah, he's a left-handed bat. He fits the Yankees perfectly.
All right, so you're going to assume they will sign him for upwards to $35 million.
But even if they don't sign him, they get Michael King, who's good. But it's like even for 1 year, I'm fine with it.
Right, and why can't the Red Sox do that? Is my question. I want them to do
I didn't want them. You want Soto? They didn't need the DH
not
spot.
so much Soto as much as any, but let's go and get a good pitcher, whatever you decide to do.
I like
so
Glasnow.
what do you give up for Glasnow? Do you say to yourself,
I guess it's not that much.
Because he's
It's
like
not gonna take that
$25
much,
million
'cause
a year.
$25 million, he's hurt and he's up. But if you don't have to give up much for 1 year of Glasnow, who, if he stays healthy, he's potentially the best pitcher in baseball.
Okay, I'm going to run down for the Red Sox. This is just the Red Sox. This is the free agents that are left. All right, for the Red Sox. I want you to give me up or down, yes or no. Would you go after them or not? These are just in the order that ESPN had them. Yamamoto, yes or no?
Obviously.
I got a yes on Yamamoto. Blake Snell, yes or no?
No, but it depends. If it's all they can get, yes.
I think that Blake Snell scares me a little bit, but you know what? He eats innings. He throws pitches. You'd have to extend him a little bit. I'd go yes on Blake Snell.
That's the long way of saying what I
I know.
what I said.
Okay, but he's a risk. It's a risky bet, but it's better than getting
nothing.
Seth Lugo. Cody Bellinger, yes or no?
No.
No, I would spend the money. They don't need the left-handed hitter. Aaron Nola's gone. Jordan Montgomery, one of my favorites.
Yes,
Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, because he can pitch.
All the way, yes. I agree with you on that, yes. Josh Hader.
No.
Don't need him. Why?
I
don't think we need him either.
Why we pay
they already paid $15 million to what's his name, Kenley Jansen. Yeah. Matt Chapman, your favorite player.
Pass.
No. Eduardo Rodriguez signed. Sonny Gray signed. Shoto Imagania.
I don't care.
He's the Japanese guy. Go sign him. He's left-handed pitcher. Lucas Giolito. There's a good one.
Yeah, because he could pitch, but it depends on how many years it is.
And then your friend Marcus Stroman.
No,
because he and the manager don't get along, right?
And he would have a tough time in this
then
market. I guarantee you. Look, I'm just gonna say this: if Stromo was in Boston, the over/under before he calls the entire fan base racist would be a month and a half.
I give it a month. Yeah. By the way,
so you take the under.
And then there's a whole bunch of outfielders: Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yeah, I don't care.
Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel.
Yeah, who cares? Gurriel, they're interested in Gurriel, right?
They are interested in Gurriel.
Okay, well they got the O'Neill kid, right?
Yes, they picked O'Neill up, right?
Play center field.
They don't need it.
Here, before we'll get. I got a list of franchise players here. So I'll go these guys. So here we go. You said not 15 Hall of Famers playing right now.
Yeah,
I think there might be.
Okay, go.
Ohtani.
Yes.
Acuna.
Yes. Yes. If he's not yet, but yeah. Maybe.
Dude, if you come on.
Go. Keep going.
There's a 70.
Hey, you know what's funny about those two? They're both on my fantasy
There's a
team.
70% chance he makes the Hall of Fame, I'd say, Acuna. No, it's higher. It's higher.
Okay, go. Ohtani, Acuna.
Matt Olson.
No.
Very good chance of making the Hall of Fame.
He will not make the Hall of Fame.
Because he'll probably hit 500
Will
home runs.
not make the Hall of Fame.
He's a good chance. Freddie Freeman, lock.
He's a lock for the Hall of
Fame.
Mookie
Betts, lock.
Who?
Mookie Betts, lock.
Yes.
Soto probably will make it.
Well, Soto, we'll see what happens. Yep.
I'll tell you what, Simeon, if he gets like 3,000 hits and he keeps playing all these games,
second baseman
he won't.
To be a second.
Simeon won't.
Second baseman don't make
Kyle
it.
Tucker has a chance, but that's a long way away. He's
it.
a franchise player. Corbin Carroll, a chance, franchise player. Alex Bregman, a small chance.
I made a mistake. Generational talent. Generational talent.
I don't know.
Generational talent. Corbin Burns. Corbin Carroll.
A game of I don't know.
Soto,
Corbin
I'll give
Carroll,
you. Soto, those top five, I'll give you generational talents, no doubt about it. And I'll give Matt Olson almost generational talent. Freddie Freeman generational talent. Who's next on your list? Devers?
No, because now we're off the Hall of Famers there. So yeah, no, there's around 15 guys in the league right now who I could see making the Hall of Fame at least.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I disagree
not a crazy
with you,
point.
Did I make up the 15 points? Yeah, I said that.
You said 15.
Yeah, I said I don't think it's 15.
Well, you said franchise players originally.
I mean,
There's
franchise
40 of
players,
those.
right? Yeah, everybody has a franchise player. We have Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony.
Yeah.
So, all right, what do you got next?
I got nothing.
You got nothing left? How about, I'm just going to add this list real deep. Craig Kimbrell signed with Baltimore. God bless them. They needed a pitcher. How about if they signed Kenta Miata or Mike Clevenger or Jack Flaherty's available? There's a lot of good players available there. So that's just a look at this. I think what's going to happen is they're going to see where they end up with Yamamoto. They're going to see where they end up with Jordan Montgomery. They'll see where they end up with I think they end up with like Montgomery and Giolito, and then they make a deal for the Cease or the Corbin with some of these minor league talent guys that are top 10 in their system who aren't really going to make an impact. If they really have a lot of belief in Rafaela, they don't need Nick Yorks of the world. They don't need Blaze of the world. They just take the chance and move those guys. The problem with baseball people, baseball fans, they fall in love with prospects and don't understand that sometimes you need to move them. Hence Moncada and what's his name for sale? Kopech for sale. You know, that's what sometimes they got to give to get, and I think that's something they have to. Yankees decided to give to get for 1 year. Sox have to look to do that for me, and that's baseball. Now, just real quickly, as we
Matt Olson is going to be 30 years old next year. He already has 230 home runs. So again, if he hits 500 home runs, you make the Hall of Fame.
Well, Rafael Palmeiro is not in the Hall of Fame. Mark McGuire's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. Olson's probably on steroids too.
We all know why.
Yeah, they're all on steroids. You know that. Real quick as we finish up here, ranking the MLB teams right now. Right now, give me your top 5 MLB.
Right now, I don't know. The Astros.
Yep.
The Braves.
Yep.
The Padres.
Maybe.
The Yankees.
Yep. You're missing the biggest team.
Yeah, but if I'm going to be a hater, I can't say them.
You can't say them? Okay, so I'm going to go.
I'll go those 4.
I'm not
saying them.
I'm going to go Dodgers,
Nope.
who Jack won't say. Dodgers and Braves in the National League and Philly in the National League. I think they're as of right now a really good baseball team. And then over in the American League, I'm going to go with Astros, which you went with. I'll go with Texas, which you're with. And I'm going to go back to Toronto because I think they're going to make some decisions. They'll sign some big people. So that's 6. So I'll take the 3 National League teams, the Astros and the Rangers in the American League, as the top 10 teams. The other thing's going on this week. Tomorrow is the opening basketball game for our boys from Wilmington High School, and I know that we had a lot of fun with that last week. You're gonna show up to the Winchester game tomorrow. Is that correct, Jack?
I guess I might need security.
You're not gonna need security.
They better win this game. That's all I'm saying. It's just, look,
they're all hyped up.
If they beat Winchester, I'll be the first person to say I was wrong. But if they lose to Winchester, there is nobody who likes being right more than I do. So you better win this game.
Okay,
that's
so
all I'll say.
That's the
That's it.
The gauntlet. And then they play Friday, Stoneham, so they got to be at least 1-1.
That's a bye.
They got to be at least 1-1.
That's like the Chiefs playing the Patriots next week.
Any update on your quiz for everyone?
No, not really. I should do that. It's going to be easy, but then again, it might not be easy. But like you gave a question or something. Like one of them's like, where'd Charles Barkley go to college?
I don't know. Where did he go to college?
Yeah.
How about where did Eli Manning go to college?
Yeah, that's easy too. But where did Eli Manning's dad go to college?
That's easy too.
Well, because it's the same school.
That's true.
Yeah, no, that's the general type stuff that you'll see on that quiz. It might be like who did LeBron beat to win his first title, or who did Mike? Nah, even that I don't even know who Michael Jordan beat to win his first title.
How about this one? Who was the MVP of the in-season tournament?
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that. So I was looking. Anthony Davis, you're all pissed. Anthony Davis, 41-20.
41-20 doesn't get an MVP.
But LeBron played great in those other games.
This is you know what, and I hope, Tiago, you're listening. I hope Tiago's listening. This is all LeBron bullshit. LeBron. Anthony Davis should have been the MVP. I know LeBron played great, and I know he's going to fall apart in April anyway, so it don't matter. But Anthony Davis should be MVP. That's my take.
I don't know. I like seeing that Halliburton doing Dame time to Dame and Dame getting all pissed off about it. The Pacers shooting 20% from 3 in like both games after they beat the Celtics with their 50% shooting from 3. It was just, what are you going to do? The Celtics did bounce back nice against the Knicks. Porzingis is back. He's phenomenal. Derek White, best player to ever live. Who's the male's version of Taylor Swift? It's Derek White, obviously.
The male version of Taylor Swift is Derek White.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
He's the most universally in Boston. If you were to go approval rating of people in Boston, he would have the highest approval rating of any single person in Boston right now.
I don't think that's true.
I do.
I don't know that in Wilmington, Jack Boyle would not be the highest single rated in most
Not even close. But
I don't agree
that's
with
true.
That. We'll
find
throw that out
one
to our
person.
listeners.
Look, because it's like find one person to say a bad thing about Ohtani. Me. Find one person to say a bad thing about Derek White. Nobody. Absolutely nobody.
Nobody in town will, but whatever. I don't.
Nobody in town. Nobody in this town.
That might be that might be the worst take of the year.
You don't think Derek White has
Taylor
the highest
Swift.
approval rating in this town?
No, not even close.
You think
not even close?
Highest
Not
on the
even
Celtics,
close.
or sure, you think
Not even close.
Jalen Brown's approval rating is
Not
not
even
too
close.
high?
Not even close.
Give me a name then.
Porzingis is higher approval rating.
Not even close.
Tatum's higher approval rating.
Nope.
Al Horford.
Nope. Because people get pissed at Tatum at time to time. Nope.
Right.
Not Al
Whatever.
Horford.
We'll
Nope.
see.
Derek White plays the game the right way. The right way.
We'll see what happens.
That is what when James
How about
when James
Patrice
Naismith
Bergeron?
created
don't play
basketball.
anymore.
When James
Yeah,
Naismith
whatever.
created basketball.
Here we go. Go.
He was thinking about this game, and what he thought about was Derek White. Honestly, that's what he thought about.
All right.
I want this game to be played like this.
All right, so there we got Jack's big take on Derek White here as we close out episode 18.
Hopefully I'm alive by next week.
Hopefully, good luck to our boys on the game. Before this goes on air, we'll know whether they won or lost against Winchester, and hopefully we'll get a good week going on. Do you got anything else?
They think like I do. I care about this Winchester game, but it's not the biggest game of the week for me. I do have the game at Anfield. So
oh my
again,
God.
Hopefully when we're in next week, we don't, because if
Hopefully they're 2-0 when we come in.
If it goes bad this over the weekend, I honestly think we'll just do a whole podcast with me just sulking. Honestly,
Oh, I can't wait. We should bring Chris in too. Then
I was depressed.
Actually,
after
you know
the
what?
one
Maybe
last
we'll
year.
bring
honestly.
Maybe we'll see if Amanda, your sister, can come in next week, and Pop's coming up too. So we got a lot of guests coming up, and Christmas is on its way as well. So again, thanks for listening to episode 18 of It All Boils Down to This. For Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle, and we'll see you on down the road. Thanks for listening to this episode of It All Boils Down to This, recorded at WCTV studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We're always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.